Hello, Year 9. I've got a video for you on ethical consumerism today, and this is going to be part of our flipped learning. So you need to watch this video, complete a quiz, and then after that, we're going to tackle this issue, this topic, head on in class in our next lesson. So good luck with the video, good luck with the quiz, and I'm just going to get straight into it. So ethical consumerism, we're going to break that down first of all in terms of the words and what they mean. So ethical meaning doing things the right way, and consumer meaning buyer, and consumerism or the act of or idea of buying. So essentially, this translates into being a buyer who buys the right way, or a buyer buying in the right way. And there's a lot of ways that we're going to look at today, such as buying things that have not contributed to food waste, buying fair trade, buying Rainforest Alliance food, organic food, vegetarian food, all of these kind of foods that typically would be made in a good way and that they would not have impacts on the following. So ethical consumerism focuses on buying in the right way so that we are having good economic impacts, good social impacts, and good environmental impacts. And in terms of these impacts of ethical consumerism, or being a good buyer, buying in the right way, I'm just going to give a few symbols so that we better understand them. So for the environment, I'm going to do a quick planet symbol with some water and some continents. Just quickly, our oceans and our continents, of course, are going to be our symbol of impacts that affect the environment. Could be in a good way or a bad way, mostly in a good way with ethical consumerism. Social impact is just going to be a couple of people holding hands here, referring to making sure people are healthy, people are supporting each other. And then for the economy, a pound symbol to suggest that we're making sure that people get enough money to buy food, getting enough money to buy the other things that they might need, like healthcare, education, and so on and so forth. And that this money can go back into these two things, basically. That can go back into supporting a healthy environment, and that can go into supporting people's personal healthy development. Okay, so there's a number of ways, like I said, that this can be done, and it's by not wasting food. And we're going to go straight into this and think about those economic, social, and environmental impacts that being a good consumer, a buyer, and not wasting food can have. And we might put those impacts over here. So we're going to start off where food is produced. I'm going to put the word produced in here, and we're going to think about, in particular, LIDC, or low income and developing country farms. And what happens on LIDC farms a lot of the time is that sometimes food is lost to disease, sometimes food doesn't look great when it's done, even though it's perfectly edible, and sometimes food can just be damaged from the farming process, and it might not end up being good enough for a company to sell. And we need to change that mindset, and by being an ethical consumer, we can eat food that's not maybe damaged, or eat food that's damaged even though because it's still perfectly good to eat. Eat food that might not look the best, like this kind of genetically different apple with a slight other apple growing out of it. A lot of people wouldn't eat this because they think it's unhealthy, but actually it's perfectly fine to eat. A lot of the time it just goes in the bin. By not wasting this kind of food and throwing it away at this early stage, or stage 1, at the farm in the low income and developing country, by making sure that people are willing to buy these things, that means that people can have a higher price economically. Farmers can make more money, and those farmers therefore are not wasting food. That means that there's more food to go around, and we can feed more people. So it's improving food security. So we can put food security over here, can increase. And over here, that prices paid to farmers can go up. They can receive more money. Okay, now the next step, stage 2, is the storage facilities that farmers might have in low-income and developing countries. So again, these LIDC, low-income country storage conditions. And these conditions might be really bad because there's a lack of electricity, because there's poor refrigeration, or many other issues. So again, food's going to get damaged here. So we need to make sure that we can improve that. And if we can improve that, that means less food is wasted. And again, it's going to lead to an increase in food security, more food to go around the world. And it's going to lead to an increase in prices for farmers. It also means they don't need to produce as much food, which means that they don't need to worry about using, chemicals like your genetically modified crops. So if we don't use them, that's going to have a positive impact on the environment. And I'll put a little plus symbol for the earth. We're not damaging biodiversity, reducing it in the future. Okay, the next step is going to be kind of the production phase, which could happen in maybe an LIDC, an EDC, or an NAC. But if it's damaged during production, during the making of, for example, bread out of wheat, or the boxing, packaging of that food, the company doesn't like the way it's been put together because the consumer won't want it, that means it's going to get wasted. So again, we need to change the mindset of the consumer. The consumer needs to not worry too much about the food being damaged during the packaging process. Not worry about the food not looking great when it's been manufactured. And if we eat food that might not look as good, that means not as much is wasted. There's more to go around. So again, it improves food security, and it might contribute to farmers still receiving more money from the food from those companies. The shops, they might waste a lot of food from storage, so food that goes off on the shelf. And if it goes off on the shelf, that means it's being wasted. So they need to have some kind of way of reducing the price for the consumer at the shop, not worry too much about that, so that it doesn't get wasted, or maybe give it away to local charities. And if they're doing that, again, we're increasing food security. We're making sure more people have access to food that would otherwise go off. We're making sure that, again, just because food might go off in a shop doesn't mean we need to reduce the price of food for farmers. So again, that can affect farmers, make them get more money if we're not worrying about food going off in shops. And lastly, at home, that people are not throwing away food that goes off at home, and it's the same idea. So this can make sure that prices for food are higher. A couple of examples of companies that have contributed towards not allowing food waste to happen. Asda in 2015 sold fruit that didn't look the best, that basically looked like it had some kind of genetic mutation, but it didn't. It just came out like that. And a company named Supermarché has also been has been contributing to stopping consumers from worrying about products that might not look the best. Okay, and they also have very good initiatives for making sure that food doesn't go to waste. Okay, and that's been happening in the 2000s as well. You can have a look at your textbook for more information about those two companies. Down to fair trade. So fair trade is another initiative. It started in 1994, where they basically set up these what are called cooperatives. Cooperatives are groups of farmers who will receive a number of bonuses for people shopping fair trade. So the money does depend on people, ethical consumers, buying fair trade products. And the more people buy fair trade products, the more money farmers can make, and the more food can be made in a sustainable way without genetically modified modifications. And the more money farmers can make, the more food that they can buy for their families, the more food in low income and developing countries can be accessed. which we'll put over here when we get to it. So it has been improving over time, fair trade products, since 2015, since 1994 to 2015. There have been over 4,500 products produced. That has gone from 0 products to 4,500 products from 1994 to 2015. Okay? And that has had a significant impact on the amount of the benefits for farmers. The cooperatives, those groups of farmers, those are going to be located all around the world. So not just in Africa, but of course we could put those X's for a cooperative, a group of farmers in a country or in a local or regional area. They're going to be all over the place. And they're going to make sure that any money received from fair trade is distributed evenly to these cooperative farmers. Like I said, not just in Africa, also in the Caribbean, and also in South America, various places in South America, Brazil and other parts of that continent, and all around the world. So it is a global company, a global organization that is trying to make sure that farmers get the results that they need. Now, what kind of impacts is fair trade going to have? Well, it makes sure that farmers have a minimum price. So a guaranteed price on their food that they get paid to by fair trade. So those products, no matter how much is sold, no matter how much is wasted along the way, they get a guaranteed price for the product that they sell. It makes sure that they can farm more sustainably. Another thing is that there is a premium given to cooperatives. This is a bonus incentive. And an incentive is something obviously that gives people a reason to do something. So the incentives are given to the cooperatives to distribute amongst those farmers, and they can use it to make sure that food is grown properly, that it's not going to waste, that people can improve their local area, such as improving communities' healthcare, improving education, as well as technology on farms and use of sustainable fertilizers on farms, rather than chemical fertilizers that are going to damage the sustainability of the crop. So a lot of benefits from fair trade. Again, I would like you to have a look at that in the textbook when you get a chance. And lastly, we're just going to look at the UK's use and spending of consumers on these products. So I've got my key. My key shows that Rainforest Alliance products, which protect people people and animals in the rainforest while still producing crops. Others, products such as free-range products, you can see this all in the textbook. Organic products we saw recently. Vegetarian products. And most importantly, fair trade products, which is this kind of purple bar here. We're going to look at how much money was spent in millions of pounds from 1999 to 2006, with a stopover in 2006 in the middle. And you can see here that very little money was being spent on these ethically produced and ethically provided products in 1999. There weren't even any fair trade products. You can see there that that colour is not in that bar. So there was vegetarian, there was organic, and there was other. And it didn't even reach 100 million. It didn't even reach £1,000 million spent in that year. Now, come to 2006, we do have an increase. Okay, we do have an increase in the amount spent, and importantly, most of it is being spent on organic. But there is an introduction of fair trade buying and spending on that product. Probably about £200 million being spent in 2006, which is a good start. But by 2012 on fair trade products, that increased to here you can see probably about £600 million being spent plus on fair trade products. And that means that farmers are going to receive more, a better minimum price. They're going to receive more premiums for the cooperatives to put into the community. and it's basically going to ensure that the sustainability of fair trade continues.